All right, we are back and testing to see if this works. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about the inconvenience, everyone. Sorry about the inconvenience. We should be working again. I'm sorry that it's not really working like it should. Hey Rich, hey John. So now it's working. I just had to restart the browser. I'm not really sure why that happened, but yeah, now I can play videos. It looks like it's working smoothly. So I think this is a better format for doing footage review, and like I said, I can bring people on. So we had already a little glitch, but looks like everyone is back. So again, we're figuring this all out. So hey Edwin, hey Ben. So if you're joining us for the first time, because I think this is reaching some people that aren't regulars, which a lot of you guys in the chat are all regulars, so it's really good to see everyone. We do this every week, and there's a Facebook group which is at the top of the screen up here somewhere, and yeah, we have a lot of discussion going on in the group. It's a great group, and every Sunday we do this coaching. So I want to just like jump right into it because yes, you're in. Karsten, hello. So it's great to see everyone back again. I'm glad that this works. Sorry for the initial inconvenience, and let's just jump right into the coaching. So I'm going to open up the Facebook group like we always do and just go through it. And it should work a little bit better than normal. And we just have to kind of figure out this new format. So again, if you're joining us from the Facebook group, you need to give permission to StreamYard so that I can see who you are. Otherwise, you pop up like this. Facebook user, curious what's up. So super glad that you're joining us, but I don't know who you are. If you're on YouTube, things are just like how they always are. Woohoo. Good to see you, Jeff. We got a lot of your footage to go through as well. So I'm going to open up the Facebook group and we're just going to jump into it. Hey, Steen. And all right. So this is the Facebook group. If you're probably a member, a lot of people are members. If you're not a member, everyone is welcome to join. Make sure you answer the questions though, if you do join. And I just go through in the live stream and just talk about what people have posted. You can post your questions, comments, photos, videos, etc., etc. All right, we've done enough admin work. Let's just get into the coaching. So this is a cool video from Max. I like to see it. I like the videos that Paul posts. This is from Paul Van Bellen. So this is cool to see. And there's not a lot of coaching questions in here, but it's a cool video. Thanks for posting it. So, all right. First up, we got a question from Bruno, which unfortunately it looks like he broke his leg on this off the lip. Bruno, I'm very sad to see that. I'm sorry. That looked very painful. By the way, I'm not sure if I already said hello. Hey, Bart. Hey, Max. So let's watch the video. So his question is it bad timing? The wind was side onshore. Is it the wrong sail position or the right sail position? So let's watch this clip. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, turn off the volume, and we can see. So where is this? So Bruno, if you're joining us, I want to know where this is. So we can see you coming in, getting slammed, somewhat of a heavy wave. And yeah, it looks painful. So there's a couple things I want to get into first. So it does look pretty onshore with the wind direction. You do a good job of keeping speed. You do a good job of staying high on the wave. The sail is very open, and then the sail starts to close as you're trying to bring the sail across your body to sort of set up for the cutback. But The thing is, when you're setting up for the cutback, you don't want to be sheeting the sail in. You want to be sheeting out more and more and more as you're going into the cutback. So you never want to be sheeting in the sail as you're coming out of the bottom turn. So you sheet in as you're going into the bottom turn, and then as you're going through the bottom turn, you're sheeting out more and more and more and more. And so you want to keep the sail really open, and that gives you the space to hit the lip, because what happens here is, because you're sheeting in the sail, the lip slams the clue, which is what causes you to fall, especially in this awkward position, and go over the falls like that. It doesn't look leg breaking. It doesn't look that bad, but obviously it was. I want to know what happened. Was your foot stuck in the straps? Hey, Michael. Hey, Mario. Was your foot stuck in the straps? What happened? Why did you break your leg? So I think there's a couple other points. You do a good job of bending your knees here, but this is a bit of a difficult section, and it's a difficult line for you to take. And I think that you're doing a good job up until this point. I like that you're staying high on the wave, because if you were to come too far out in front, you'd lose all your speed. And you're able to carry a good amount of speed, and then you're coming up to this lip also with good timing. You're getting that high five. But what you needed to do was to stay completely sheeted out. And instead of trying to bring the sail across your body like you would in maybe a more normal cutback, you want to leave the sail completely open and have the board just traveling down the line. And so what you'd want to do is, so if the sail was completely open, you're traveling with the board down the line, you'd hit the lip here and then come down. So come from here and then coming down to about here. I hope you can see my mouse. You have to let me know if you can see my mouse this way, everyone. So you'd come down here, and it would have been a nice radical off the lip in the shore break. You would have got some projection, which would have pushed you a bit to safety here. You would have had some speed to get away from the heaviest part of the impact of this wave. But by sheeting in here, and maybe you're not even sheeting in, but what's happening is that you're holding the sail too close to the wave. And then what happens is the wave clips the clue, and that's what makes it look like it's sheeting in. And so in that case, you have to really extend your back arm to make sure that the sail is not going to make contact with the wave. And so really opening up even more than you think you need to. So I'm not sure if that makes sense. And Bruno, I'm not sure if you're in the chat with us. Hey, Axel. Cool. Thanks, Ragnar, for letting us know. Yeah, so we're going through the footage. If you're just joining us, say hello, whatever platform you're on. All right, so Bruno, that's my advice. Heal up. I want to hear a little bit more about what happened, and sorry to hear that you hurt your foot. All right, some more conversation about gloves going on in the group. Albert is saying that you really want to make sure you're getting curved gloved with the fingers curved. Otherwise, you'll still get forearm cramps. You guys are more of experts on gloves than I am, so there's a lot of good discussion here. 44 comments about gloves. I'm not sailing that much in super cold water, so I'm not an expert. And gloves are really hard for me because I'm not used to it. My hands cramp. I really don't like it. So I end up sailing with no gloves, even in literally freezing conditions. I had a session on the Baltic Sea this year that was literally 0 degrees, snowing, super windy, and I didn't wear gloves because I felt like I couldn't sail with the gloves. And after a certain point, the pain just goes away. They just kind of numb out. Hey, Dionysus, or Dionysius. I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome to the stream. All right, next up, we've got the footage from Jeff. So Jeff sent me his footage. Yeah, Michael, I agree. Gloves suck. So Jeff sent me his footage. So we're going to check it out. So we've got 2 parts to Jeff's footage. One is the cheese rolls that he's been working on. So this is following up on what he submitted last week. And then we've got the the carving 360s, which also he's been working on down in Cape Town. So it's great to see this work from Jeff. All right, so I'm going to switch this screen. So just take a second. Cool. So now we've got the footage from Jeff. And all right, so let's get into this. So let's just watch it. Oh, let me turn off the volume. Let's just watch it and then I'll go through it. So this is second round working on cheese rolls with Jeff. So Jeff submitted a video last week on cheese rolls, and this is incorporating some of the footage or some of the tips from the footage from last time. So Jeff, you were trying to go higher. That's one of the things you were working on. What else were you working on, and how did it feel? So when you were implementing what we were talking about, what worked, what didn't, what did you remember? How did it feel on the water? So I think you're in the chat. Let us know, and I'll start going through the footage at the same time. So this is a little bit of a bigger ramp. So in the first footage you submitted, you were jumping more off the whitewaters. And one of the main topics was you want more of a real ramp. You can go for even a bigger ramp than this. But this is good. This is good. This is better than the whitewater ramp for sure. Next up, you're throwing this. I mean, it's good. I love the commitment. You're getting around. It's still a little bit forward loopy. So you can really pull the sail more towards the tail of the board, like we're talking about, and really lean with your body towards the tail of the board rather than forward. So rather than leaning into this quadrant here, between the nose and the mast, you're leaning sort of like here where my mouse is. So I think this is a good takeoff, and I really like this initiation. So this is, you're leaning a lot more back and pushing more towards the tail of the board, like we're talking about. Hey, John. But just the ramp's not there, right? This is a tiny wave. There's not much steepness to it. And that makes it hard. You're not really getting any height. And so then you're just kind of falling into the sail. But even though the first one, you got more rotation than the second one, I like this entry a lot more than the others. And if you had more height, you would have rotated better. Yeah, so going higher will help you. But you are lowering the sail. I like that in this second one a lot. This one as well. So I think this one, I can see you getting scared, and then you kind of sheet out and stop rotating because of that, and then you land on the sail. I hope that didn't hurt. But the entry to this is quite nice. I like that you're really pushing the sail back. Everything is going well. Thomas Fenson's got some tips about cold water sailing. All right, the next one. This is a bigger ramp. Then here you're throwing it more like a forward. I love also that you've named all of these with different cheeses. And I'm not enough of a cheese expert to know what exactly that means. I don't know what a Wensleydale is. This one, you're getting messed up off the ramp. So you're not really getting air. The ramp is a bit weird, but you're also kind of absorbing it. So see how you're bending your legs like this? So one trick to jumping higher is to do the exact opposite of this. And this is true for any jump. So Jeff, it's true for you, but for everyone else watching, it's true as well. If you want to jump higher, what you want to do is bend your legs going up towards the ramp, and then straighten your legs as you're coming up the ramp. And that will give you more height. And you don't have to think about jumping like on a trampoline. You don't have to think about anything too forceful. Just go into it with bent legs. And then as you're traveling up the face of the ramp, just straighten your legs, and you'll get you'll get more height like that. It's yeah, it's really not it's not hard. You just have to remember to do it. All right, so that's the opposite of this. So by absorbing the ramp, you're just not getting enough height there. So again, bend your knees and then straighten, right? Just as you're going up the ramp. And it doesn't have to be super fast, just bend and then straighten as you're going up, and that will help you get more height, which is the opposite of absorbing it. So this is a nice kind of blendy, somewhere between a forward and a cheese roll. So John, you straighten your legs. I mean, this is a tiny ramp, but you straighten your legs about here. You can see that Jeff is doing that partly, but just the ramp is so small. So let's go back to this one. While going up the ramp, John. But Jeff, you're still throwing your weight a little bit too far forward. And so let's look at, I have an example here. Let's grab my example. Okay, so this is from me on Maui. I'll play it in slow motion and talk about it as we go through it. So again, taking off upwind on the ramp. Though Jeff, you said you were going to try going more downwind. Those attempts, you were still going more upwind, which I think is good, but I also think it's not bad to experiment. But again, I like to take off upwind, and I'm really throwing the sail back towards the tail of the board, looking back, pushing everything towards the tail, very much with my front hand. Sail gets backwinded, and it flips over. So we can play that. We can play that a little bit faster. So I'm not sure how much that clarifies, but you can see how much I'm throwing my weight here rather than in front of the mast. So I'm not throwing any weight in front of the mast. All of my weight is going behind the mast. And so I'm really throwing everything towards the tail like this. And so I'm really trying to push everything towards the tail, almost horizontally rather than like a flip, and then rolling over the side. And the wind helps you do it, because you get to this point and the wind is really pulling your sail around. So you don't have to do much work. You can see the tension in my sail here. You know, the sail's full of wind, trying to come upright again. Does that make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, cool. So I've got another example. I've got another example. Let me see if it's better. Yeah, I've got one other example here. So this is it's a little bit more stylized. So let me pull this up. Okay. So again, I'm approaching the ramp, going somewhat upwind, pushing everything back towards the tail. And see, I'm even looking up. So instead, like with the forward where you're really looking back, or maybe it's kind of similar. I was going to contrast it, but maybe it's similar to the forward, because with the forward, you don't want to look down. You really want to look up over your shoulder. And this is a cheese roll is a very different motion, but you can see that I can do it while looking up. Just the trick is I'm pushing everything back here towards the tail of the board, and my weight, everything is pushing everything horizontally, which is why I talked about the carving 360, which Jeff, we're going to get into next as good practice for the cheese roll, because it is somewhat of a similar move. That beginning part is pretty similar. And then again, the wind just helps you carry through the rotation. So once you get that initiation, the wind does all the work for you. It's really not such a difficult maneuver once you get the beginning. And again, I'm using the ramp to help me, right? That height is really important, and it's not a lot of height. I'm not going super high, but that height really allows, if we looked at it a little bit slower. So this ramp, Jeff, is a little bit bigger than the ramps that you're taking off from. So if you take off a ramp that's closer to this size, it'll give you just a little bit more hang time. And so you just, again, push the sail back like this. You're really rotating kind of horizontally, twisting with the upper body, looking back towards the beach. So that might be a good heuristic. So rather than looking forward, because you're looking forward in front of the mast on some of the attempts, try to look back at the beach. Just really forcefully look back at the beach. You're looking back at the beach. So see, like, look, I'm looking way back at the beach in this, and then just a little bit extra height from the ramp. And then you don't have to do much with the sail, because you get to this point and you're falling. And by in this position, then that automatically sheets you in. All right, Alessandro, thank you for your question. Thank you for joining us. I'll get to that right now. So let's get to Alessandro's question and then John's. So Alessandro says, "Hi, Graham. I don't have any video to show you, but I have a question. I'm trying to learn basic jumps on waves 1 meter high. The problem is that the nose of the board goes down really quickly." So Alessandro, this is a great question. Really interesting question that will help a lot of people who are getting into jumping in the beginning. And I think if I understand what's going on correctly, I think you're taking off too far downwind. You're sheeting in, and that's pushing the nose of the board down. What you want to do is try to take off much more upwind and think about really floating up, like you're trying to sail up straight up into the air and then floating down to land on the tail. Whereas if you're taking off downwind, the sail gets full of wind and it starts pulling you forward, and that pulls the nose down. So you want to take off a lot more upwind. That'll help you get more height and take off at an angle that is more conducive to the jumps that you want to be doing. So that's the number one thing when you're trying to get into jumping and you have the problem of the nose going down too quickly, is to take off more upwind. Take off more upwind and lean back. Take off upwind and lean back. So I hope that makes sense. All right, moving on to John's question. Tried a few back loops this Saturday. Amazing day, enhanced them. Besides going more upwind and planing flat, would you reiterate your top tips? So John, I'm going to ask you to rephrase this question because we don't have time to do a full back loop tutorial right now. That's something that maybe we can do in the future, but that's something I need to prepare for. I want to ask, I'm going to give you a few tips, but I want to also hear how you were falling, how it felt to go through the experience. And then I know you got your GoPro. I want to see some footage. I don't know if you have any, but it'd be great to get some footage of that. So top tips for the back loop. I'm just going to go through them super quickly. Again, we can go through back loop tutorial more specifically another time. And also, if you guys have specific footage, specific questions, I always welcome that, and we can analyze it to death on the stream or on the Facebook group. Remember the Facebook group where we have the discussion during the week. All right, top tips are: you want to take off more upwind than you think you need to. 2, you want to think about moving your arms sort of in this direction. So I'm gonna make myself bigger on the screen again. So when you take off, your hands are back like this. Let's see if you can see that. Your hands are back, and then as you go over the apex, you're like the windshield wipers, you're pushing the sail forward towards the nose of the board. And that's doing a few things. So one, when you're flying up and you've got the sail back, it's helping you fly up into the wind. And then once you get to the top, you're just looking over your shoulder, really using your head. You don't want to be using your hips. You don't want to be using the board. You're really using your head and your shoulders to rotate through the apex, and then you push the sail forward towards the nose of the board. You can sheet in, and what that does is it kills the rotation, slows the speed down, and helps aim you towards where you want to land. So those are sort of the main things, but we can go through it in more detail if you have more footage or more specific questions as well. And again, like I said, we could do a full back loop tutorial. We've done that in the past. Maybe it's time to do it again. So if that's something you're interested, post it in the group and we can plan it. All right, Alessandro has a follow-up question. The conditions are onshore. Any specific advice to basic jumping? It's even more important to go upwind, really, really upwind, and go fast, upwind and fast, Alessandro. And that will help you. Jeff, yes, I can flip the vids to be on your tack. Let me see if I can do that now. Otherwise, I can do it and post it in the group. Yes, I can. So I'll go through that as soon as we fly through these questions. Yeah, Ragnar said he's done some cheese rolls in the past and it worked best when sheeting in the clue, even past the tail of the board. Yep, that sounds totally like good advice. Yep, you've got it, Jeff. Look back at the beach, look back at the beach. All right, John is saying, I tried just going upwind, no footage yet, but I know I could push it more, but feels weird as I'm getting too close to the sail before getting airborne, if that makes sense. It's you can really hang from the sail before taking off. You don't have to be super close to it. You don't want to be very far away, but you don't want to be super close. And then you can get closer in the air because you do want to be close to the sail in the air, if that makes sense. But I want to see some footage. And it sounds like you're on the right track, John. I'm happy to hear it. Hey, Mateo. All right. The question is how to increase the rotational speed during a cheese roll. I think the best way to increase the speed of the rotation during the cheese roll is to more forcefully, with your front hand, push the rig towards the tail of the board. So the rotation is very much guided by the front hand in the cheese roll. And as you're really bringing that front hand back towards the tail of the board, it speeds up your rotation. And so when you're doing them on flat water, that's one of the most important things to do. Jeff, yep, I can post the cheese rolls online. All right, John is saying, fair enough. It felt like it stalled as I tried to go through the eye of the wind and I just fell from the sky. Yeah, it's definitely part of learning the back loop. You've got to really look over your shoulder pretty hard. All right. Hey, David. Yeah, people are doing cheese rolls, especially the freestylers, and they look pretty cool when the freestylers are doing them. Thomas, I'm not sure what your question means. You can do stuff in onshore conditions. David asked, do you have any favorite warm-up stretches or exercises that you have helped maintain windsurf fitness to prevent injury? Check out the most recent video that I posted on YouTube. It is about leg conditioning, and it's not so much strength focused. You can use this as a warm-up exercise. It's a lot about glute activation and glute strengthening, which I think is really important for performance and injury prevention. So that's the most recent video on my YouTube. Check it out, David, and let me know. And I can post some other things that I do as well. I really like, for basic stressing, vinyasa yoga, and it's something that I like to do. I'm not an expert, but I can do it, for 10 minutes in the morning, and I really feel the difference in my body. The Windsurf Kook is asking, how do we get more wind? Sacrificing virgins and... Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how to get more wind. That is one of the problems in the sport. So Jeff, I'm going to show you just quickly. I flipped that video. Actually, it probably would have worked, but I'm just going to go through this one more time for Jeff, and then we're going to move on. But so Jeff here, I just want to show this to you in port tack. So again, some of you guys are on starboard attack, some of you guys are on port tack, and I understand that it can be helpful. So if you ever need me to flip my footage to help you understand the move, don't hesitate to ask, like Jeff just did. So there it is in port tack. Yep. All right, cool. So now we are going to move on to the carving 360. And so I've just got to open that window. So this is still from Jeff. And then we're going to get back into the Facebook group after we talk about the carving 360. And you guys have to let me know. So this is a completely different program for streaming. Is it better? It feels better for me. Is it better for you? It's a little bit easier for me to flip through footage. So Jeff, this is so cool to see you trying these. I love the progress. So this is one of the first ones that Jeff tried. I can see the intention, pulling the sail back, trying to get on top of the rig, getting backwinded and flipped over. And then we've got another one. Again, can really see the intention, figure out where to place your weight. And here you're trying it on a little bit of wave, which is actually something I really recommend because that little bit of wave really helps you to carry your speed. And remember, the more speed you have, the easier it is to balance, right? And so this is true of anything in windsurfing. This is one of the big heuristics. The faster you're going, the more mistakes you can make. So the more speed you have through something, then the less the details matter. And so doing this move on a wave face like Jeff is doing here is great because the wave can give you board speed to help you balance. And Jeff, I really like this, that you're staying backwinded here. You're really kind of riding a swell. What I want to see is instead of trying to speed up the maneuver, I want to see you actually ride this wave like this. And that's your homework. And it'd be great to get some footage. And so the way to do that is to really pull that sail really towards the tail of the board. That's got to be jammed to the tail of the board. You're trying to touch the end of your boom to the tail of the board. And imagine if you were on the other side of the sail, what you would be doing. So if the sail is towards the tail of the board, you're going to go upwind. If you push on the sail, it's like you're sheeting in. If you pull out on the sail, it's like you're sheeting out, right? Because it's kind of an opposite. And you can really feel the wind, feel what it's like to sail on the sail from the other side. And you can ride this swell. And it's a lot easier to do it off a swell like this. I've got an example from my own footage, which I will pull up in a second. So I've shown this kind of example in the past. This might be one I've shown before, or maybe not. I'm not sure. So here, let's watch it. Let's kind of, hey, Nicolas. So here's an example. And let's go through this a little bit slow and we can talk about it. So again, starting off really downwind, which Jeff, you were doing. Good job. I like to see it. So you can see how far I bear off downwind getting into this thing. Hans is making a really good point. Even if you want to complete the rotation, keep the sail back. A classic mistake is bringing the sail forward when backwinded. And that's a great point. So again, here, look, you can see I'm really pushing the sail back. I'm leaning pretty hard here. You don't have to lean this hard. But again, I'm really picking up the speed from the wave, which makes it easier for me to come out of this. So then I sort of stabilize. I'm carrying the speed from the wave. And look, I'm really pushing the sail towards the tail of the board. I'm not leaning back here, because if you lean back here, the sail's going to sheet in too much and you're going to get pushed over. So I'm really leaning almost around the mast, really like around the mast, like in front of the mast. I'm putting my weight here. I'm not putting it back here, because if I were to put it back here, I'd be backwinded. And so this is a difference to the cheese roll. You know, I said there were similarities with the cheese roll. That's really this part of the initiation. Boom. But all right, so Jeff, for the carving through 60, when you're in this part, you're really pushing the sail towards the tail of the board. You're not leaning on this back part, because that will sheet in the sail too much and push you over. So you're really leaning your weight kind of almost around the mast. And then you can be really delicate with the sail. And so if you need more speed from the sail, more power, you push against it or lean on it, and that's like sheeting the sail in. And then when you want to come out of this, you're pushing the sail even more towards the tail, because remember, you want to be coming upwind to come out of it. And how do we get upwind? We push the sail towards the tail. And so really drive the sail towards the tail. And then I like to come out of these quite forcefully with a bit of a pop. So once the board is almost through the wind, then I push on the backhand, on the clew of the sail, still keeping the sail somewhat towards the tail of the board. I'm not driving the sail forward, but sheeting out and then catching the wind again to keep going. So Jeff, I hope that this makes sense. Do you have any questions? Do you have a clear concept of what to work on? Jeff, let us know in the comments. But again, superb effort. I really love to see it, and great job putting showing us your practice. All right, so let's get back to the Facebook group. Let me just pull up that window. All right, so we're back in the Facebook group. Let's see. All right, so we've got a post from Gonan. So I saw Gonan in the chat. Are you still here, Gonan? We can talk about this right now. So 3 different waves that are pictured continuously. The wind is gusty, 10 to 30 knots on a 98 liter board and a 4.7 sail, weigh 90 kilos. The purpose was doing an aerial, but I just succeeded with the top turn. What can I do better for the top turn? What to do different for a good aerial? These are great questions. Let's get into this. I just pulled up this comment from Thomas. Laird Hamilton doing planing 360s and mast high waves. All right, I'll do some when I'm on Maui. I'm not going to wear the white gloves, but I'll get you some footage. All right, let's get into this. So this is still video that's being presented as a, oops. Okay, so we've talked about aerials a lot. Aerials are a common thing that people want to do. But that doesn't mean that we can't keep talking about them. So let's go through this. So one of the main things with aerials is you want to have enough speed, and you want to really hit that throwing section of the wave to get that high five. So one of the things that we talk about is getting that high five with the lip. So as the wave is throwing, you want to place the bottom of your board, not the rail of the board, the bottom of your board, so that it connects with that power. So you have that energy transfer of the wave, like this, knocking against the bottom of the board and throwing it forward out into the air. You're a little bit early for this section. you're not getting that high five. You're too early for the high five, right? So the wave isn't throwing as you're getting to it. So you're not going to get the projection from the wave. It starts to throw here. It looks like it's throwing a bit, in which case you need to be farther down to catch this, or later, so that if it starts to throw here, which it might not. So maybe you just need to be farther down. But so this is the wrong, simply put, this is the wrong place to do the aerial. You want to be doing it where the wave is throwing. You need a little bit of curl, something to get your board inside of, and the wave can transfer its energy into the board, and you can get airborne and fly in front of the wave. The second point after the placement is the board position. So you want the board, so the bottom of the board is picking up that power from the wave. So it's not like a jump. It's not like you're sailing over the lip. You're really angling that board so that the bottom of the board is catching that power and is getting thrown into the air. So that's the main reason why this first one isn't working. So it still turned into a nice turn, but if you want to do an aerial, you've got to be on that section that's throwing and with the board in the right position. All right, let's watch the next sequence. Nice turn. I like the rail engagement. Great. This is a great example of a full rail turn. Love to see this. Here you're really using your heels, getting the butt low, which is something we talk about, really hanging from the boom. I like this. Look at how much rail you're using. Nice. Good job. All right, do we go for an aerial now? Okay, so here you get some air. So I would call this a little aerial. I mean, it's not so different from a cutback, but you do get some air. So you're coming up to this section now. I don't know how much speed you have. It looks like the setup going into this didn't afford you very much speed. Now it's difficult because we don't have the video to know how fast you're going, but just from the setup, I have a feeling that you're not going very fast. And you want to have speed for aerials. Speed makes it easier, especially when you don't have a very powerful wave, which this doesn't look like it's super powerful. Now, this is a better position from your board. So see how you've got the bottom of the board picking up the power of the wave, and you've got the board angled so that the bottom of the wave lines up with that nice flat part of your board, sort of near between your feet or by your back foot, and that's going to give that energy transfer. So that's great board position. But what's missing here, as was missing in the first one, is a lip that's really throwing. And so this lip is just not throwing it. You can make up for it. You know, the faster you're going and the better your technique is, you can make up for not really having much throw in the lip. You can still do aerials, but then you've got to have all of those other things in place. So like if you've got a wave that's throwing very hard, you don't actually need much speed as long as you're in the right position. But with these waves, you need to be in the right position. You need speed. So it looks maybe like a little bit later would have worked, or just the section is really difficult for doing an aerial. You managed to do a nice off the lip. I like to see it. You know, one of the big principles as well of my coaching is that you can't project onto the wave. If you project onto the wave, you're losing. That's not how wave riding works. You have to read the wave and read what the wave offers you. And the more you can do, then the more potential you can see in the wave, right? So if you can do 10 different kinds of wave 360s, then there are more sections that afford you the opportunity to do a wave 360 than if you could just do one kind. But that possibility has to be there in the wave. You can't force it onto the wave. And some sections, some positions, maybe because you don't have the setup to give you the speed, or maybe because the lip isn't throwing, some waves are not made for doing aerials. And so you have to read what is there. And you did a great job. I really like, let's just go back to this wave. This is a great wave. I really like this. You get this this carving cutback. I mean, there's a few things. You didn't ask the question, so we don't have to get into it very deep. But there's a few things that you're talking that I would like to see a little bit different. You're a little bit upright in this bottom turn. You could be leaning over more with your upper body, so bending more at the hips. You don't want to be so upright in the bottom turn. I really like this cutback. You're really getting your butt low. You're getting that rail engaged, getting a complete turn. You're keeping speed through it. And then this, even though you're saying you want to do an aerial, this looks like a nice cutback. You're getting that high five with the board. You're throwing the tail. So this is a nice wave. Again, I want to see you in the bottom turns, leaning more with your upper body. All right, let's watch the third video, see how it goes. Again, another nice turn. But really the placement is not there. Right. So this is much too early for an aerial. Good positioning. I like this positioning coming into the top turn. I really like this positioning, and you get this nice cutback. But to do an aerial, you need to be much later on the wave. So we don't even see the point where the wave starts to throw. So it's going to be some point after this. We can see it's setting up to throw, but it's much later than this. So I hope that clarifies a few things. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions. Go on and you can post in the group, post in the chat. The aerial is a quest that a lot of people are on in this group. I think we saw Bjorn in the chat. Bjorn is keen to do aerials. So a lot of you guys can work together on this, and I'm really excited to see the progress. All right, so I think, no, we're not all caught up, and I want to bring Dan on. So I wrote Dan a message. Dan, talk to me on Messenger if you're ready to come on. We're going to talk about your footage. So let me know if you're ready, and I'll send you the link for that. This was a question, or not a question, it's a post from Yan about the sail position in the bottom turn. Some great discussion here. I love this analysis. So Jan wrote this really thoughtful, detailed post about his experience with wave riding, and especially in onshore conditions. And his point was that you really want to make sure that you're pushing the sail outside of this turn. So if we think of the turn as this big circle, right? This is the circumference of the turn. You want to push the sail outside of that as you're going through the bottom turn with your arms extended. And I think that's a good point. And I make the point in here, I posted a photo. So this is an example of me. I'm again pushing the sail out. I've got my arms extended, but then when I come up to the top turn, I make sure that I'm bringing the sail across my body, and that sets me up for the top turn. I've still got my arms extended. You don't want to be super close to the sail in most things that we're doing in wave riding, but you want to either be pushing away from you in the bottom turn or hanging from it in the top turn. Pushing away from it in the bottom turn, hanging from the sail in the top turn. You don't ever really want to be too close to it. This is my little example. Love all the analysis, chat, discussion going on here. People have opinions that back this up or add nuance to it, and I love to see it. All right, I think that's everything from the group. So I'm going to bring in Dan, and we're going to talk about his footage and his progress. So I'm going to get that set up. So again, we're figuring out this program for the first time, and this is really cool. If I can bring people on and we can have a discussion. So this is a great opportunity to try. So Dan, I sent you the link, so you can join me on the chat, and we can go through your footage, which I will open up, and we can talk about your progress, what it's been like moving to Tenerife, and what you're working on. So Dan, we're just waiting for you to join. I'm going to pull up your footage. So Dan moved from Germany to Tenerife, and he's been windsurfing a lot there. Here's some footage that he posted a while ago in the group. It's a little bit zoomed in, but I think we can have a nice discussion once Dan joins us. All right, here we go. Dan, are you ready? All right.
Hey.
You are on.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I might need to put a headphone in. If you guys hear an echo, let me know. I'm not sure if we're going to get an echo, but otherwise, this is Dan. Dan just moved to, or I guess not just, Dan moved to Tenerife during COVID, right?
Yeah. Basically last November for good. Mm-hmm. We've been here before for a few months after our child was born, and then last November we moved here for good, since obviously COVID made it possible for people to work from home.
Yeah, and how do you like it? What's been the biggest change moving from Germany to Tenerife with respect to
the weather, obviously. Yeah. No, like consistent sailing conditions, I'd say. I mean, I can go every day it's windy. Even if I'm at work, I can take like a lunch break for an hour and just go on the water for 45 minutes. That's quite amazing, and it gives me so much time on water.
So what have you felt in terms of progress on the water?
Yeah, I think a lot of progress in terms of wave riding and like in general, better feeling for the conditions, like good timing, especially Cabezo is very timing critical because the waves peak up so fast and you got to be at the right place at the right time. And like this footage is actually from last February. So,
wow, so it's almost a year old.
Almost a year old. I don't have any camera people on the beach so far. So this actually cropped from the webcam, zoomed in a lot and cropped the picture.
But that's great for people to know if they're going to Tenerife, that they can look at the webcam. Is the webcam always running?
It's always on. I think it has tilted a bit more to the left, which is unfortunate. You cannot like see when you're riding down the wave a little more, but maybe we can ask Jochen, who's running the webcam, to put it a bit more back to the right.
And how often do you watch the footage from the webcam to see your session?
Actually, I didn't do it in a long time. I don't feel like I can see so much. I think I would like to have it more near. I need a better resolution and everything, and I don't know, see how my arms move and my body moves and everything. Now looking at it and with all those things that you told to other people, I just got the video out again. Like I think I see a little bit more things than last winter, but yeah, it's still hard. Like last week, I posted some footage from my wife. You've seen it. And you can see so much more details. I think it's just way nicer if somebody's on the beach filming with a camera with a good zoom. It's difference.
It's a huge benefit having footage from someone actually filming on the beach, and it's a great way to learn. I think on the last stream I went over my top 3 Christmas presents for windsurfers because someone asked that. It'd be a carbon boom and then footage, and whether that's a GoPro or someone to film or whatever it is, Footage is really helpful. I can't remember what the third thing I said was, but carbon boom and footage are definitely in the top two. When I saw this footage, I was really impressed because I hadn't sailed with you in a few years. There was a few years gap between when we sailed together and when I saw this footage, and I was really impressed with your sailing. I felt like you improved a lot in that gap. A few of the things that I noticed was how active you are. I feel like very active on the wave. You're really looking for what the wave has to offer and are very open to going backside, going frontside, trying to get in an extra turn. So we can see here, you finish that first turn, you race down the line to get the second turn. I really like to see that, you know, so if we go back to this wave, you can see you start off with this backside, little backside carve into the frontside turn, a lot of energy coming into the next turn right away. And then even looking for another turn, and the wave doesn't really offer it. But I really like how proactive you are. You're looking both up the line, down the line. Was that a conscious effort on your part?
Well, it's almost a year old, but I guess so, yeah. It's actually what you keep saying as well, I think windsurfing is so much more easy if you have speed and power. And that day, especially, I was on a 3.8, and I was like 88 kilos back then. So it was really windy. It's like, since then I didn't have another 3.8 day. I think there was there was another 3.8 day, but it was such brutal. I couldn't even hold on to the 3.8. So that was a really good day. All the other windy days are more like 4.2 here for me, and which is also great. And the difference between 4.2 and the typical, like most of the time I'm on 4.9, sometimes 4.6. But the difference is so huge. You can do so much more things when you're fast and really have the power, and the waves are bigger and everything. It just feels like a different sport sometimes. It's just so much more fun. And
so
easy.
Max is asking, has more time on the water sped up your progression?
Yes, for sure. And yeah, I think in summer I went to Hanstholm, but we only had some, let's say, what was it, side off conditions, like slightly off, and I could really. I mean, I didn't have side off conditions for almost 2 years, and I could completely. I felt really, really at ease and everything with the conditions, and I could have a really good time back then. I enjoyed it a lot. I think things that really helped me more time on the water would help was doing fast text, fast text, fast text, fast text, fast text. Actually, thanks Graham for the tip of opening the window and closing the window. I wrote that before, but that was the game changer for me. I always had like 5 to 6 out of 10 before on the fast tag, and then afterwards I'm like 9 out of 10 probably, or I don't know. Some sessions I don't even fall in at all. And that was the game changer. So little things really help, and then this obviously doing it every day almost in summer. It's a game changer.
It's just on the tax. It's really not sexy to go out and work on your tax or exciting, but if you're nailing your tax, you have better wave selection and you catch more waves. It makes a huge difference for your progression.
Yeah, I feel like on Cabezo, I think you get like 2 times the waves than when you're jibing and going out far. If you're just tacking fast and go upwind a lot, and get so many more waves. It's crazy.
So we got another question from Tomas about the footage, how you got the footage. Is it from a recording, or did you get the file from Jochen, or how did that work?
No, actually, there's a website that has the webcam footage, and I did a screen recording. No, I think that was quite difficult. I think it didn't work. I used some some software on the command line. So it was not that easy. I had to work a bit to get out the stream from the website because it would normally block to record, I think, back then. I don't know how it is now. And then I cut it like using iMovie or so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it looks good. About my coaching, because you asked me for some tips. It's hard without specific questions, and it's hard that it's because without being more zoomed in, and also because I think it looks good. You know, I think you're really active. Like I said, we see some really nice speed and rail work. Like, so for example, here you really carry your speed on the rail there, and we've got some good high fives with the lip contact. If I go back. Some of these other waves. So I think at this point, the main thing to work on, because it looks like the technique is working really well. So like here, we've got a good high five off the lip, is wave selection and making sure that you're on waves that are offering opportunity. So like, for example, this wave, like you managed to make something out of it, but you know, it's a whitewater wave that's closing out in front of you. There's not a lot that you can do on this wave, for example. And wave selection is fundamental, but it's also really, really difficult, right? It's one of the things that we will work on for our entire lives. You know, John Florence is still working on wave selection. We're all working on wave selection. But it offers you just more opportunity. There's a video that I have on my YouTube of about the fundamentals, and there's a clip of, I think it's Marsilio Brown, Kevin Pritchard, I think Levi Siver, and another guy who's a good sailor, but none of you guys know who he is. And it's that amateur sailor that has the best wave ride of the four, and these are like living legends of the sport. But the difference is just the wave selection. The other waves, they close out, or there's something weird about them. They're a whitewater wave, whatever it is. And so wave selection is really huge. It's what makes or breaks what you can do on the wave. And you're doing a good job making do with what you've got. But that's sort of the main thing, I think, for you to work on to bring your sailing sort of to the next level. And it's difficult. You know, wave selection is not something that is really easy, but it starts with the awareness. It starts with the awareness of which waves to take, and once your brain is sort of starting to think about it, then you start to notice different things. You start to have intuition about it, and every spot is different. One of my heuristics is when I go to a new spot, or even spots I'm used to, I follow the better sailors. So I follow the windsurfers who are better and see where they're riding, what waves they're catching. I do that everywhere. You don't want to take their waves, but if you're going behind them, you can see where they're catching waves, what they're looking at. One of the things about Cabezo that I noticed, that I wonder if you've noticed this having lived there, is you have so many different angles that the swell comes in. And you have some that are coming in from upwind, and then they really run away from you. You have some that are coming from the south, so really downwind, and then they close out. You have some that are coming in straight that are nice. And the best ones I find, they kind of come in like almost like a V, where you have swell from that's both coming in from the upwind and the downwind. It's coming in almost like a V, and then it turns into this nice peak, and that's where you get the like powerful peak, and it carries on a section or two downwind. And I'm trying to line up with that bunker. Do you have any heuristics or tips that you use for catching waves?
I'm not sure if I should give them away now. I think Cabezo is really difficult to read, I think. I don't know, like other spots that I've sailed, it's not too many, but I felt easier because Cabezo is changing so much over the day. Like with the tide going up, it's a completely different spot when it's going down. Sometimes, you know, you have different swell. It's when it's When the tide is rising, it's typically more bumpy, and when it's dropping, it's a smoother phase, which makes it easier to ride waves. And when it's a high tide, waves break differently than when it's low tide. Yeah, so it's really difficult, and I feel that different people also like different waves. Like for example, Julian, he's always like very late, close to low tide. When it's big, especially, he likes the punchy waves. I go more like high tide typically. Yeah, so it's a matter of preference, I guess, and being comfortable with riding like this close to the rock sometimes if you go at low tide. But in general, it's yeah, I feel safe and happy all the time. I mean, I think I crashed one fin in like more than a year of sailing here, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, cool. I think the risk with the rocks is often exaggerated. There's not much risk. Sometimes you hit your fins down on the end of the wave, but it's not that bad. Your fins are not even, you don't even notice it. You sand it a little bit and it's fine. Jory is asking about the open and closing the window or closing the door tip for attacking. What do you want to explain that?
Yeah, basically, like when you go into the tag and you drive the board upwind, and then before you, let's say, jump over to the other side, your body goes to the other side. You put the sail back with the clue towards the back of the board. You change the side, and then you push it to the front. And the moment you push it to the front, no, that's the front now.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
The moment you push it to the front, you actually have the advantage that because you do it, you get some wind pressure into the sail. Can be backwinded or was it front winded? I don't know. The other way, the normal way. And that stabilizes everything. Like you can do a lot of unbalanced jumping from one side to the other, but as soon as you have some wind pressure in the sail, you can rescue all of the bad technique you have while jumping around the mast foot, basically. And that was a game changer. Yeah.
It also opens up space. So when you put the sail back, when you're opening. So I was actually saying. So John makes the point that I was calling it a sliding door. So it's like opening and closing a sliding door, not necessarily a window, but similar principles. So you slide it back, so you slide it open, and that gives you the space to go around the front because it allows you to stay more over the center of the board rather than going towards the nose. And then you bring it forward again to make the space for your body. And something that's really important there is that you're not reaching. Like one of the things that I think makes it much more difficult to land the tacks is when you're really reaching for the sail rather than bringing it to you.
Yeah.
Because when you're reaching over, you're not balanced and you're kind of in this like awkward position. Whereas if you're bringing the sail to you, your body can stay more upright the whole time. It's a lot easier to stay balanced. The sail is more neutral or more, it's like more easy to balance. It's not necessarily that it's neutral because sometimes it's backwinded, but that's an easier position to be in.
Yeah. It always helped me to think about me being like very upright on the board, centered on the center line and upright, and then just moving the sail, not myself, like not moving with the sail, but just me being there.
Right. Yeah, cool.
Same for my wife. She learned it as well with that tip.
That's great.
Big progression, yeah.
That's great. Cool. So what are you working on now?
Yeah, like that's another thing. Thanks again for some tips on the back loop. I think during that period where the video was made in February, I started to land them more consistently. That said, I'm still counting. I was like below 10 when this video was made, I think. And I'm like close to 100 now landed, and I was like, and the one tip that really made the difference for me was, I mean, I've had many video tutorials that said spot the landing, and I was like always doing it from a certain point, but I think I was always looking at the wrong landing spot. And then you gave this tip of looking a bit, let's say, I think downwind, like when you were like as if you were racing downwind, And then I just landed, and obviously doing 10 other things at the same time. But this one trick did the difference for me, and now I land them more consistently. I'm not really happy yet with the, let's say, quota. So I don't know. I guess when there's rams, I get 2 or 3 in a session, and some days I get, I don't know, 5 out of 6 when I'm in really good mood. But it's not like I can do it with closed eyes or anything. So it's still a bit, yeah. I'm still not happy yet. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. But that sounds good. I want to see some more footage. So I don't know what the next step is, but I'm really invested now in your progress. So I want to see the next steps. I want to see some
Yeah.
updated wave riding.
Yeah, I would be glad to show. I think my style has also changed. I've noticed that lots of the good guys, the good locals, they go, let's say, more down from the wave. They make a wider arc. I think it's called arc in English. Yeah, a wider arc when they drop down the wave. So, and I try to do the same. And I believe that helps me to go more vertical into the top turn. I think on that footage, most of my wave rides were like kind of very close to the wave. And I
Which I
think
think
both
is
is nice,
good.
but it's
Which I
just a
think is
different
good.
style.
I like this style that you have. It's very surfy. I like
Mm,
it. I think there are advantages to coming in front of the wave, which can help you get to different positions. It helps a bit with the 360. Can also help a bit with the timing, where you have a bit more. It's more forgiving because you're coming out in front, and you can choose more where you're going on the wave. So it can
mm,
be a bit more forgiving with the timing, and it can allow you to come up also at different angles. But I think what you're doing looks good, and it's great when you build up your foundation of your repertoire. It just allows you to do more. So then, if you can do those bottom turns where you come out in front and the ones where you stay on the wave, it allows you to react to a lot of different kinds of waves and a lot of different kinds of sections. And so you can just
yeah,
do more, you can act more spontaneously, do more of the dance.
yeah. And if anyone of the guys in the stream is coming here, I need somebody to push me hard to uh, front loops and wave 360s.
Okay.
I'm trying wave 360s a bit upwind, but I'm not. I'm kind of scared to try them at the bunker.
Yeah, but you can start them. You can start them upwind. I think the bunker is a pretty good place to learn them as
Yeah,
well. And what about for forwards? Where have you tried them at all? Where are
I've
you?
done the Weimaroos basically, and
Yeah.
I in the past when I try to jump, I'm kind of like just crashing without
Yeah.
any clue what's going wrong. Yeah, it's always just out of control somehow. Weimaroos look pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. I need somebody helping me from the beach, but I will do that soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got a program. So we did a learn to loop course in the spring summer last year, and I updated it, or I'm in the process of updating it. We'll do it again this coming year, because I think the front loop is one of these really misunderstood moves where people think it's really about fear, but actually it's not. It's about having the right technique and the
Mm,
right process, and you take small enough steps that you never have this really big leap of fear, or leap of faith where you're conquering your fear. And so if you can break it down into these little steps, it just makes it so much more accessible. And then there also are just a lot of misconceptions about the loop. So the course we did, and some of the guys in the chat were on the course, and I learned a lot doing it with them. That was the beta run. I learned a lot. So then updating it, a lot that I learned from that is into the updated version. But for example, there are a lot of misconceptions about the course, like, or about the loop. that it's a flip or it's a forward motion, when really it's, this spin, it's a sideways spin, and you're twisting downwind rather than throwing yourself forward. You don't want that forward momentum, that forward somersault energy. It's this twist. But I'll post more stuff in the group, and then we'll do another course. So for anyone that's interested in the forward loop, because it's a fun move, and I think it's something that has been misrepresented in windsurfing, because it's a lot about this like fear factor. Oh, you just have to go for it, just sheet in and jump. And there are much better ways to learn it and understand it. So trying to change some of these conceptions.
Yeah, that's great. No, actually, I'm not scared anymore, but somehow I just crash them all the time. But the Weimaroos are really great to lose that fear.
Yeah,
for sure.
And
you get the control of the sail, and I don't know. I think, yeah, sailing every day if it's windy really gives you so much more control of the sail as well. Like all those backwinded stuff, you get into all kinds of situations where you would just crash in the past. I would just I have been crashing in the past, and I'm kind of rescuing all kinds of stuff. And I think that's because I'm so often on the water.
Cool. So what's the forecast? We've got a few people asking, David. What's the forecast for the general wind like over the next few months through March?
That's a very good question, and let's say everybody has his own opinion here. So
I think it could be good. I'll just jump in.
That will be my third winter. It will be my third winter here, and the first was quite awesome. The second was we didn't have wave conditions often. So if you would like to stay for longer, you should go into winging or slalom sailing or something, if the wave conditions don't pile up. But I think the first winter on my parental leave, then we had like 3 days per week on average. That was quite amazing over the months. But obviously, sometimes you have like, and especially January, February, March, that's where it gets more windy again. And then sometimes you have like 5 days in a row, and then 12 days of nothing. And so it's always a bit of luck. But in general, you can be lucky. And,
I think it can be good. It's difficult anywhere you go to just go. I'm a fan, especially in Europe, of traveling on a forecast. But there are generally good weeks in the Canaries in the winter. Sometimes it's working more on Gran Canaria than in Tenerife, because if the wind is just a little bit more north, it doesn't work in Tenerife or in El Medano, but it is working in Gran Canaria. So you want to pay attention, I think, to both if you're open also to traveling to Gran Canaria. But it's a great spot for windsurfing. It's not as consistent as the summer. It's a different kind of condition. You've got shorter days, but it can be really fun windsurfing. I think actually my favorite windsurfing in the Canaries is in the winter, because you get more swell and there's a nice atmosphere to it. All right. I think let's wrap up. Thank you, Dan, for joining us. And
it's been a pleasure.
Like I said, I'm stoked to see your progress, and I want to keep seeing it. So I'm looking forward to seeing more footage. All right. I'm going to sign you off and sign off myself. So this was a good experiment. I like this different format. We're going to keep doing this going forward. Let me know if it works or doesn't work, if we need to do some other fine tuning to it. There's the Facebook group up here somewhere. And that's the community. We have a discussion during the week. And otherwise, I do this live stream every Sunday. Next week, Sunday, is the 26th. I should be on here. I'll let you know if it doesn't work. But 26 should work. Ben Profit is the one that got me set up with this program. I see you, Ben, in the chat. So thanks, Ben, for the tip. It is working great. And so I'll see you guys in the Facebook group. I'll see you next week, Sunday. Thank you, Dan, for showing up and sharing your footage. Have a good week. Hopefully it's windy wherever you are. No, okay. Yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to sign off. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good Christmas if you're celebrating Christmas. And we had those questions about fitness. Check my YouTube channel. I did a video about exercises for your lower body, which help for injury prevention as well as performance. All right, everyone. Have a good week. Thanks, Dan.
Bye-bye.